see. All right. So welcome everyone to connecting with Joel Annesley. This is episode 8, and my name is Sam Lee, and I'm the founder of Connect with Confidence, and I'll be the interviewer interviewing Joel Annesley. How are you today, Joe?
I'm doing really well, Sam, and I really appreciate that you've taken the time out to have a chat with me today. And I love it that it's episode number 8. It's a very lucky number. It is my number.
Oh, really? Lucky 8. So
there
8
you go. Yeah.
Nice. Is 8 your good number when you buy that lottery or something?
My birthday is the 8th of the 8th, so I always go for the lucky number 8. So
I'm lucky.
There you go.
That's great. Nice. Good question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. How was your weekend, Joe? What did you do?
I'll tell you what, one of the biggest challenges I think we've all faced is during this, now that the lockdown has eased, is that little bit of sense of freedom, which has been lovely, but at the same time, when the weather's been horrible, we kind of like, it has its challenges. It definitely has its challenges. So for me right now, where my focus is on is a lot of sort of future planning, what's next in my business, a lot of quiet time with coffee, finding some nice coffee shops, and praying for some more, I should say, sunshine.
Yeah. Sunshine, eh? I know, that's true.
And what about yourself?
Yeah, pretty much. Just same shoes as you. Like, wet weather. Just have to stay home. Have to do some wet work activities. I actually just went to just chilled at home. Some friends over, and then went out to bouldering yesterday, which was a very fun experience. So, nice. Have you been bouldering before, Joel?
Bouldering?
Yeah.
Please explain.
So it's kind of like it's basically rock climbing, and then it's
cool.
You're climbing on boulders. Like it's just not as scary as rock climbing because I'm afraid of heights. And basically, it's just you just climb up different obstacles, and it's good. Like because you can de-stress and basically turn you into more fit. But the downside of that was all sore afterwards. Like it's like going to the gym and then you feel sore after you do weights. Yeah.
I hear you. It's one of those things. Otherwise, we're spending so much time like at our desk. Yep. We're not moving enough. So having that outlet is so incredibly important. And for me, it's been a couple of months ago, I bought a push bike. So it's actually getting on the push bike and discovering new bike tracks and just enjoying kind of when the weather's good, getting outside and getting that exercise. So that's awesome, Sam. The other thing I noticed you've been doing in this sort of lockdown period is some fishing every now and then.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, actually fishing is actually one of my hobbies. Like I like because I'm a patient person. So a lot of people out there, they're very impatient in terms of when they go fishing. They just want to get the fish straight away. But then I take it as meditating. So and as well as it's legal to fish in this country.
And that's a beautiful thing there. You said it's a meditative exercise, and I very much agree. It's actually I was talking to a friend the other day about we were talking about fishing as an analogy, but this idea of fishing is the object isn't necessarily about how many fish you're going to catch.
Yep.
It's about just putting yourself in that environment and then just enjoying the moments that you're in. So that's awesome, Sam.
Yeah, totally. Like it's actually it's really about the experience. And then once you catch a fish, you have a sense of achievement. I finally caught a fish. It's rather than like sometimes like you go fishing and then you didn't catch anything, then you feel down. So there's a downturn to that.
Yeah, true.
So so did you say you like your own quiet time? Like you like going to cafes and
I agree. Look, I think it's incredibly important that like we get so busy in our day-to-day life that we have to find some sort of quiet time, some sort of connection that enables you to kind of rediscover yourself again, and I think we're constantly on that mission to kind of quieten the noise that we have to put up with on a daily basis. So it's so good for us all to kind of work out what is it for us that gives us that quiet time. And for you, it might be fishing or whatever it might be. It might be, you know, that physical exercise is also a big part of it too. But I think that's wonderful.
Totally. Yeah, it's definitely like you outside of work, like you know, Sydney is pretty fast paced, and you need that quiet time to slow down a bit, and yeah, basically to get out of this crazy world we're living at the moment.
Yeah,
I
totally.
guess. So yeah,
Totally.
so is that what you do normally, like outside of work?
Yeah, a lot of what I do, I find outside of work for me is activities where I can slow down. So whether it's physical activities or just kind of very self-reflective, you know, things that allow me to be in my moment, where I can sort of connect with my creative self, you know, where I can channel. I know you're also an author too, Sam, and it's about putting yourself in that environment where you can allow the creativity to flow, and that's where the idea sparks. It's finding whatever it is for you that gives you that, you know, and it promotes that. The ideas just coming to you, and then the next, you never know what that could create. And I think that's what excites me the most is, you know, when one project finishes, another one, you start to get ideas. You're like, what's next? So yeah, but yeah, it's just finding that environment for you. I think it's incredibly important.
Yeah, totally. So let me picture this. So you're that kind of person that likes to go to cafes and have a coffee and basically read books.
I think you got it. I think you got it. And I think it's incredibly important too, as well as just, you know, I love surrounding myself at libraries. I love just being in a place where you're around people, but it's quiet. And it's almost like you're picking up the energy of all this productivity going on around you. And it's incredibly motivating.
That's great. So it's kind of like meditation for you, like in terms of.
It is. Yeah.
Great.
Meditation is a big part of my ritual as well. I'm sure I'll talk about this more in our chat, but yeah, definitely.
Oh, sounds great. And what would you say your hobbies are? I know reading books is one, probably your own quiet time. What else?
Quiet time, meditation, cinema. I love just, if I can, I think one of the other challenges living in Sydney is finding nature. But you know, if we if we make time for it, I love going hiking and just sort of getting out of the city, the kind of the hustle, and you know, immersing myself in nature. I think that's also an incredibly enriching that experience that I find that I try and make time for. And it doesn't always happen, but when I do, I always come back feeling really refreshed. So you know, for me, that's incredibly important. But of course, I'm also, you know, occasionally prone to binge Netflix and go to the movies and just enjoy consuming stories and immersing yourself in stories. I think that's also good fun as well.
That's great. Yeah, totally. Like movies is actually very good. And do you normally go to cinemas to watch movies, or?
Yeah, look, at the moment I haven't, but yeah, usually it's something that I really enjoy doing is to bring you know, people together, go to the cinema. And I think it brings, you know, this idea of finding common goals, you know, whether it's bringing friends together, watching a movie, or you know, bringing people together, I think is incredibly important.
Yeah, totally. It's really about the bond and
exactly, and finding those things that link you together, finding the things that you can find in common.
Yeah, totally. Just really all about common interests and
totally.
And what would you say your favorite genre of movies?
Look, I'm a sucker for comedies. I definitely, anything with Melissa McCartney in it, it's just, I cannot stop laughing. Yeah. What about you, Sam?
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I guess I like action movies. So kind of like those kind of like war movies,
Yeah.
Marvel, and all those action. Makes me sound like a kid, but yeah, I kind of like those action movies for some
Sam,
reason.
if you can channel your inner kid, I love it.
That's it. That's it. Well,
That's it. Yeah.
or you look out on the outside, but stay young on the inside. That's what's
Totally. Totally.
That's
Yeah.
great. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, Joe. So tell me about your business, your current business. So you
Yeah.
actually offered a book, and then you're studying. Is it Quietly Confident? That's your main.
Yeah, so it's quietly. So I'll give you a little bit of a background.
Yeah,
So obviously, for those tuning in,
yeah.
Sam and I met because we are both authors on the journey. And what so it was we share the same writing coach, and I met Sam because we were both presenting at the Authors Showcase, and this is going back a little while now. Was it late last year?
Yeah, time flies. Like
Yeah, I know,
you
I
say
know.
this year, last year already. So yeah, it's around probably mid last year. Was it around?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So we were both talking about, our businesses, our stories, what we were doing, and it was really nice to connect with like-minded. And
Yeah.
to give you a bit of an understanding of what I do today, really, I talk about where I come from. So my business is called Quietly Successful, and it's really about helping other people like me. So, and when I say that, I refer to introverts and
Mm.
those who I also consider to be highly empathetic, and they are looking for an opportunity to increase their confidence and really look at not playing a small game anymore. And I think that comes from my own story, in which I define myself as a shy child. So back in childhood, what I noticed is people would give me these labels like, Joel, you're so shy. Like, why are you so quiet? What's wrong with you? And I would take that to heart. I think, what is going on? Like, why am I different? Why am I different? I'd often ask myself that question.
Mhm.
And all throughout like my schooling years, I would always compare myself to other people, and I'd think there's something wrong with me because I'm so much quieter than other people. And I go back to that experience, and as I was going through the writing journey, when I was writing my book with Jane,
Mhm.
I had this epiphany, I had this awakening where I realized where this shyness started. And it started all the way back in my first year of school, in which my teacher belittled me in front of the classroom.
Mm.
And all I wanted to do was kind of hide in the corner and like not face the teacher, not face my peers. I wanted to escape because I didn't want to be seen as wrong, and I didn't want to be judged. All these little things that can often then follow us throughout, our youth into adulthood. For me, I found going through that process where it all started. And so that was an incredible time in my life, going back a few years now, where I realized that I had the opportunity to change the label that I gave myself all those years ago, that I called myself a shy person, and that I could change the nature of the relationship that I had with shyness. And so that's where the book came into this, and I called it Quiet Confidence,
Mm.
Breaking Up with Shyness. And so it was talking about my own journey of the stories I went through, the things I told myself as a child, and the realization that I came to, that I can choose a different story. I can choose a different label. In fact, we all have choice. And if we feel like we've been playing a small game because we've been telling ourselves these things,
Mm.
then I give hope. My message is hope that change is possible. change is inevitable, but you just have to be willing to go on the journey of this kind of like an awakening that it's like a rediscovery. I call it a rediscovery, essentially, that the awareness that you've kind of had the power within you, that you've had the ability. And I'll share with you a really quick story.
Yep.
I always used to, when you finish the year at school and then you get like a report card, with all your grades and how you went at school, and you take it home to your parents. And I always used to look at that, and I'd see what my teachers would describe about me. And they would always say, Joel is quiet, Joel is shy, he has, troubles fitting in at school and socializing with his peers. The epiphany that I had recently, as I was going through the writing process of the book, I went back and I rediscovered all this old stuff from my childhood, including these report cards, and I opened it up. And one of the things that I completely missed was the description that I was quietly confident. And so what I share with people is that it is our own perception. It is not what other people give us the label. We ultimately have the choice to empower ourselves to change the story, to redefine the story, and position ourselves where we once think, we may have had all these weaknesses. We can transform them and make them strengths. And that's something I've done in my own life, and that I help others do in my coaching practice. And so as I was, it was sort of a journey of, I knew I wanted to be a life coach, but I didn't know who my ideal client was. So it wasn't until I went through, I finished my diploma in coaching. And then when I went on the journey with Jane, I got the understanding. I had that aha moment. There are all these people out there that go through a similar experience where we consider ourselves quiet, and we think we are less than. We think that somehow we're not going to get ahead in life, and we feel like we're challenged with our social skills, that if we have challenges meeting new people, then somehow we're not going to get ahead. And I think one of the biggest take-home messages is that we all have the power to change. We all can essentially redefine the labels that we've given ourselves. Yeah.
Wow, that's very inspiring story. I guess when you every time you say that out, I guess it will touch someone's life in terms of they've been in your shoes before, and it's really about.
And that's I totally look. One of the moments I had that really hit home for me was when I was on stage, and you also had your and I didn't know you back then, but you also had your book launch at Glebe Books.
Yeah, correct.
And I talk about the story of standing up on that stage, talking about quiet confidence and the journey that I'd been on, and there were almost tears in my eyes, because it was like I was having a discussion, a connection with the 10-year-old version of myself that was saying, essentially, you will be okay. You don't have to worry. All will turn out just as it is. You don't have to become anything else. You are as you are enough.
Wow, that's very powerful. Nice. Yeah, I guess what you've been through, and then I guess it's really about learning from experience and then telling your experiences about yourself to other people, and that's how they can be confident enough to break out their shyness as well. And totally get it. Like what Jane, I've heard a lot about you from Jane actually, and you're very he calls you a humble hero as well, and not easy. Yeah, it's not easy coming from like a shy introvert. Because at that stage, I was kind of like my story was a little bit similar to yours. Like I was very shy in high school. I was bullied, etc. And you've been through all that life stages. But it's really about how you yeah, really about, it's really about now, like about
Totally.
how you improvise from yourself, and really about yeah, learning from mistakes and going through adversities. That's what makes you stronger, and that's where you are at today right now, like basically being in the field. And then I can see your confidence there in terms of that. So it really tells like what you said about your story and how authentic it is. So I think it's, yeah.
And I think you just summed it up there with the authentic piece. Definitely, I think that's one of the key challenges I had, and this is one of the key pieces of advice that I share with people, is this notion of when we initially feel like we want to become more confident in ourselves. One of the things that I used to do is I'd tell myself a story. I have to increase my confidence by becoming more extroverted, right? I have to become more like an extrovert.
Yeah.
Now, the challenge I had with that is it wasn't acknowledging who I was fundamentally. It wasn't me being authentic. So what I noticed is I would go along to networking events and I would try and force this personality type that wasn't me. And so I'd find myself like fumbling. I'd be like, why can't I sound normal? Like, what's going on? Like, and you know, all this personal development work that I've done has made me realize that it was because I was trying to mimic other people. I was not respecting who I was inside. And when I changed that, it was almost like, the way I put it is, confidence finds you. You don't need to seek confidence. Confidence finds you. And when you have that moment, that awareness of speaking with authenticity, that's the moment that changes your life. That's when tears appear in your eyes, because you've realized you've had that epiphany. You've had that awakening where you've realized that when you make those changes, you can be outspoken, you can share the message you need to, but you're still doing it in a way that respects you, you know.
Yeah, and totally, like what you say, confidence finds you. They made me think for a bit in terms of that. Like, it's very provocative. Yeah, like, it makes you think deeper on a deep level of yeah, it's just like you, like that's why I'm interested to interview you, because like, you're an introvert. So I want you used to tell me more about your networking experiences. So yeah, you can impact upon like other shy introverts, and that's how like I want to teach people like the same skill sets that like coming from an introvert as well. Like, just really about going outside and really owning the environment, like being yourself, and like that. And it's just, I guess it's really about the blind spots you have, and then really about correcting it, and then you'll be back into your confident self, the person that you really want to become. And I think like you're very Joe, you're very, how should I say, like a role model for those kind of people already. That's how you get inspired by, like, other people being inspired by you. And keep up the good work, Joe. That's what really matters. Yeah.
Thank you, Sam. I really appreciate that, and I just want to acknowledge all the great work that you're doing in that space too. I think it's remarkable, and really watching you, you know, build your profile and build your community. I think that's wonderful, and you will go far. So I'm really looking forward to following your journey. And you know, as a like-minded introvert, it's really good to be able to connect and share stories, share insights, and kind of, you know, help each other along this journey.
Right. Yeah, totally. Like, it's really about like sharing this journey along. It's really about sharing from your heart. Like, if people can see you're sharing, like, you're journaling about yourself, what you teach to people, others can be inspired, and I can see that already for you. So yeah, like, this definitely, like, I'll always look at your journey as well. So it really gives me kind of like a push as well whenever you're doing great. So like, we both can inspire each other. So
that's right.
Just tell others. Yeah, that's great.
That's
so
right.
that's really great. Thanks for your your story, like, I guess, it made me feel a little bit emotional as well when you said about you teared up, etc. And but yeah, like, I guess it's really all about being your authentic self, really about expressing it. Being own the game, and really about telling the whole world that you're not shy. You're actually feeling more confident, and that's what really matters. So great, cool.
Totally.
So that leads me to the second last question.
Yeah.
So I just want to ask you, like, I think you might just talked about that a little bit. So what, coming from an introvert, what are some hints and tips on how you would connect with other people effectively? Like, how do you build positive relationships from your end? I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so I have touched on it a little bit already. But what I will give you the example is one of the greatest challenges that we find ourselves in is being overwhelmed in our head, right? Quite often we feel like, I want to put my best foot forward. I want to be seen in the best light, and I want people to notice me, hear me, respect me, all this stuff. But the problem is we overthink it. And I think that's one of our biggest challenges, is when we get caught up in this overthinking. And that's something that I found myself doing, is that the thoughts that I had in my head would interfere so much that I struggled to get the words out, right? And that was one of the greatest challenges. And I think one of the great areas that we can talk about is, how can we overcome this overthinking? And so if you're talking about meeting new people, strategy in terms of meeting and connecting with people, one of the things is to just kind of watch when you find yourself feeling overwhelmed, with the thoughts that you have. And what I often say is, when that happens, is to kind of take a step back. And one of the most powerful things you can do is work on your state of being. And as I alluded to earlier, the idea of doing things like meditation, practicing mindfulness, returning to the present moment can be fundamental in helping you overcome that overwhelm. Because of the overwhelm is the thing that stops you in your tracks and stops you from actually turning up at an event, or taking the action, or walking up to somebody and having that conversation. So to work on your state, I would say is one of the most powerful things you can do. And so, whether it be meditation, then looking at your posture, doing things like that to make you feel more powerful. And I suppose one of the other things that I often talk about is this idea of, if we're approaching people, I think one of the things that I've found in the discussions I've had with people is that there's always a challenge in, I love, the bit that's easy is the friends you've had forever, you can talk to them and you've got an in-depth relationship with. The challenge stems when you're meeting new people in your workplace, in social groups. That's when the anxiety can kick in, and that's when the overwhelm can kick in. And that's when we sort of freeze up and think, I've got to try and put my best foot forward. And the best piece of advice that I would share for people is to be able to step out of how you think other people are perceiving you, and embrace what I call the curious observer. And the curious observer is about just being in the moment and just observing your environment. So we're introducing these more mindful concepts of, if we're walking over to somebody and we're about to have a conversation with them, drop the end result. If you're telling yourself, I have to get to know this person, I really want to form a friendship, or I need, I want to get a date out of this or something, drop all that pressure and just go, I'm going to be curious and just ask and just start to learn about this person. And not be not be caught up in having to constantly talk and try and impress, but simply listen. And I think that's one of the greatest things that I think that we can all embrace, is this notion of, if we are quiet people, if we are introverts,
yep.
one of our greatest skills is being a deep listener. You know, we can be there for people, and people respect us for that. So when we show up for people and we let the head chatter go,
yep.
people will be attracted to you. And I think that's a very powerful thing. So when you can just start to get to know, have a conversation without expectation, I think that is very, very powerful.
That's a great one. Yeah, totally. I guess from my 2 cents, what I got from you is really about engaging in a deeper level, really about sharing that interest that you have for that person, really going deeper into the conversation. That's what really matters into, like I said, a deep level on how you can build rapport. But it's good. I like your insights. It's definitely worth noticing when you connect with people, and I think you're doing a good job, Joe. That's great. Yeah. So thanks for sharing that. And that brings me to the last question. Joe, how do we actually find out more about you and your business?
Yeah, totally. Look, probably start off with the website. So go to quietlysuccessful.com.au.
Yep.
And if you want to learn more about what I do, also there is a community of like-minded people as well. The community is called The Quietly Confident.
Yep.
So you can find us on Facebook. If you search The Quietly Confident,
yep.
You will find us.
Yep.
That's it. If anyone wants to learn more about what I'm doing, feel free to get in touch. Happy to have a conversation, talk about coaching, or just a general chat. I'm always so curious to learn. I think one of the biggest aha moments that I had, Sam, was I thought I was the only one that went through this uncomfortableness, the awkwardness of feeling like I was on the outsider, and connecting with people today who've been through that same sort of experience. Is my mission, is my passion, is to connect with like-minded, and as we grow and share together. So that's what I help people in coaching, in formal coaching, but we also continue these conversations in the community as well. So that's it.
Great job, Joe. Well, viewers, you know how to connect with Joe. Very inspiring person he is, and make sure you check out his website, follow him on social media, and later on I'll be putting up uploading on YouTube and podcasts, so you can re-listen to this, and looking forward to seeing you in the near future. So Joe, thanks for joining this interview, and I hope you got something out of it, and thanks for participating.
An absolute pleasure. Thank you for your time, Sam. I really appreciate it, and we will talk again soon.
Likewise, no worries. Hope you enjoy your week, and talk to you later. Thanks.
Cheers.